Hi, my name is Kelly, and as promised in a previous video a few days back, here is session 1 of the tattoo artist specific but also not specific movement sequence. So as I mentioned before, I am a yoga teacher. I have, previous to my tattooing career, a background in fitness where I worked as a personal trainer for years. I've also been into lots of different kinds of movement myself to keep myself healthy, especially healthy and moving and able to function as a working tattoo artist. The longer my career has gone on, that's become more and more important. So I've put together a small sequence of movements. This first one is quite a restorative, not too energetic. It's a great little go-to sequence for you've finished a long day sit, or a long day hairdressing, or a long day driving, whatever your thing. This is going to be fairly relevant to anyone who has a seated job. So if you had a long day, you can't really be fucked to do anything. This is just a really nice go-to sequence because you don't need a lot of gas in the tank for it. And sometimes you can be quite surprised at the energy that you can unlock just by getting into some of these shapes. So we're going to start in a restorative fish pose. So I've got a bolster because I have a bolster. If you don't have a bolster, then you can still do this. You could just get a pillow, like a firm rolled up pillow, or a big towel, or if you've got like a sleeping bag roll, if you've got a yoga mat, you could roll it up, or a small rug, you could roll it up. And so basically you're going to place this, so you're going to lie over this. This is going to sit about the area of the back ribs, and then I don't need a support for my head because I have a bit of space here, but if you wanted to support under the back of your head with another cushion or a stack of books or a yoga block, then definitely feel free to do that. So you're going to come to, as I said before, like back ribs, and you'll feel the base of your shoulder blades just kind of start to tip over the back. And already I got a nice little clunk there as my back started to release. And then you can just rest back. If you're placing the support under your head, that can be a little bit off the floor, it could be fairly high. Just see how you feel like you need to go. And then just with the arms, just for a moment, have them resting somewhere comfortable. And then you can have the knees bent like this with the feet flat on the floor. You could take the feet a bit wider and have the knees knocking in. Personally, I like to take a Supta Baddha Konasana, it's called in yoga, which is the soles of the feet together and the knees knocking out to the side. And again, you can always place some pillows under the knees to support this shape. And then we're just going to stay here for a little bit and take a few breaths. So at first, if this is your first time making the shape, especially if you've been working in this forward head carriage position all day, it can feel a little bit intimidating perhaps for the body. It can feel a little bit difficult to surrender into. So just take some deep breaths through the nose if possible. And then as you let them out, a long, slow exhale through slightly parted lips. Just like a balloon deflating, feel yourself soften over the roll. And I'm not going to stay here for ages for you today, but feel free to pause the video and just stay a little longer and really feel that front body open up. So you can stay with the arms to the side. Sometimes, especially if I've been working for a long day, I like to take the arms out in this kind of cactus shape. And this just helps to stretch out the front of my shoulders. You can hold the hands above the head. This creates a little bit more of a back bend. Just kind of play around with the arm positions and see how that feels for you. I'm going to stay here for a bit. This feels quite nice. Each exhale is just an invitation to surrender and melt a little bit more. Notice with a little scan of the body if you're frowning or if you're clenching the jaw. See if you can smooth the breath all the way out, just knocking off the barnacles. If you're familiar with yoga, perhaps you are already breathing with that ocean sound. If you've never done this before, then it's kind of like you're trying to create a ha sound, but with the mouth closed. And it just invites a little bit more attention and consciousness to the breath. It also massages the vagus nerve in the back of the throat to help us relax. And this kind of long, slow, deep ocean breath can help us deal with stress and pain. And we can do it with quite a fierce sound, quite a strong resonation, or we can do it very gently and very softly, and it will have different effects on the body. And I always think we can be taught practices, but we really dig for the gold when we just investigate what's right for us. Have a little play around with the techniques and see what works for your body, for your breath and your mind. And so stay a little longer with the paused video if you wish. And if you're going to come out with me, then just bring the arms back. If you've got the knees apart like I have, just take the fingertips to the outside of the thigh, just so you're not stressing out your inner thighs too much to bring the legs together. And then roll off to one side. So if you have a block or books under your head, then just be really mindful as you roll to come up to a seat. As you come up to all fours, we'll come up into a cow-cat shape. So you can pop your bolster off to one side and just come to all fours, so stacking shoulders over the heel of the hands, gripping the floor with the fingerprints, and the whole of the palm, the circumference of the palm presses down. The knees are underneath the hips, and just for a moment here, feel that grip of the hands, that length through the spine. You can keep the toes tucked. I like to do that, especially if you've been not moving around all day. The feet can get quite stagnant, so it's quite nice here to even walk the knees back and really feel that flexion of the toes. And then press into the ground, lift up through the chest, pull your navel in towards your spine. So we're not moving the spine yet, but you're engaging the abdominals. And then keep a little bit of that engagement. Take an inhale and let the belly drop, pull the heart forwards, the tailbone rise. And then as you exhale, press into the earth. Bring the chin towards the chest. Gazing towards the navel, the tailbone tucks under. Inhale, ripple back up. And this is the cow shape. You can gaze up through the tops of the eyes, or you can look forwards. Press into the hands round the spine and just start to feel your way in. And if it feels good to you, maybe you can take this with a little bit more of a circular action. You could be very dynamic. You could be very lateral, you could be very fluid, and just kind of feel your way into that movement of the spine. And these kind of movements, I love to close my eyes. You don't need to balance, and just kind of vision with your inside eye what the anatomy of the spine looks like, and just see it articulating and moving. Feel the shoulder blades. Maybe they feel a bit crunchy, I know mine do. And just feel everything kind of moving and lubricating after a long day sitting still. Take another inhale here, and then let it out. So you're going to walk the knees back for this next one. We're going to come into an extended all fours. If your hands feel healthy enough to do this, then you can come up onto fingertips. That just makes the opening a little bit deeper. And then send the hips back, walk the knees back so that they stay pretty much under the hips. Press into the hands, keep the armpits and the forearms lifted. Maybe your forehead floats, or maybe it comes to the floor. Think of lifting the armpits, and the arms stay really engaged. Tailbone is lifting, so think here of that arched cow shape, and the chest moving towards the floor. Stay really active in the arms. If you're on your palms, it's like we were in the all fours position. The palm is pressing down and you're gripping with the fingerprints. And again, don't forget to breathe. As we move through this kind of movement, the breath is so important to anchor us in, but also to shift that stagnant energy, to bring us into a different physical state, which is, after all, why we're doing these movements. Take another inhale here, and then exhale out. And then walk yourself back up. You can bring the knees wide this time with the big toes touching, and sit on the tops of your heels. So if this doesn't work for your knees, then you could by all means just come and take a seated cross-legged shape and do the twist there. It'll look a little bit different to this, but I'm sure you'll be able to figure that out. So we're just going to take a little twist. This is kind of more through the thoracic spine, the upper spine, which gets very Again, hunched and stagnant. We're going to place the left hand on the floor and take the right hand behind the head, reaching the elbow nice and wide. Take an inhale and open up to the right. And then take an exhale and bring the elbow down to touch the floor, just in the crook of the thumb and forefinger. Inhale, open up. Feel the twist coming from the waist up. And then exhale, bring it back down. Just tap the floor gently. Inhale, open up. And the hand is just resting the back of the head. The movement is coming from the midsection. We're not forcing anything in the shoulders or the neck. One more of these. We'll do 5 of these on each side. At least I think that's 5. If you come to my classes, you know that I am terrible at keeping count. And then come back to center, swapping sides. Take the hand behind the head. Press down with your right hand this time. Take an inhale, open to the left. And then exhale, turn down that elbow, just touching between thumb and index. Inhale to open, move with the breath. And exhale to twist. Inhale, open. Let the breath kind of guide you into the movement. Inhale, open. Exhale, twist. Last one. Inhale, open. Exhale, twist. Nice. And then come up to kneeling. So just release all of that. Now here I'm going to tuck my toes. If you're not familiar with doing this shape, I call this thunderbolt. Then tucking the toes can feel a little bit uncomfortable, but go with it. If it's not causing acute pain, then it's probably just that your feet really need to do this kind of work. Always tuck the little toe in, that little guy gets left out sometimes. And then draw the energy inwards so the thighs are engaging. We're not just kind of hanging out on the legs. And then here you can just rest the hands on the thighs for a moment and take some breaths. Start to feel the feet releasing. And if you need to make this a little bit less challenging on the feet, then you can take the weight onto the fingertips forwards. You could place a cushion between your back of your thighs and your legs. Or you can take the weight, shoulders fully over hips, resting down to stretch out the arches of the feet and the toes fully. And then we'll take some shoulder cars, so just some like full rotations of the shoulders. Take an inhale, reach the arms up. Take an exhale, turn the palms down and back, so rotate the thumbs back, like you're trying to touch the thumbs together behind you. And then inhale, lifting the arms, turn the palms, thumbs face up. And it's like you're fighting for more range of movement, and then bring the arms to cross, squeeze the chest muscles here. Inhale, reach the arms up, and then turn the palms out and back, and keep rotating from the shoulders. So notice you're not flaring the chest or the belly, lift the thumbs, like you're trying to touch backs of hands together, and then turn the palms forwards. Reaching up and keep externally rotating, bringing the little fingers towards each other and then crossing other arm on top. We'll do one more each side. Turn the palms out and back. Go nice and slow, kind of moving through every little facet of this movement, and then turn the palms forwards and up, all the way out. So you're lifting from the little finger side of the hand and across the chest and squeeze. All the way up. Last one of these. Turn the palms out, keep turning, thumbs down, thumbs back, squeeze between the shoulder blades, almost touching the backs of the hands, and then turn the palms forwards. Come all the way up, and then crossing the chest. Nice. Release the arms. You can release the toes. Do this slowly. If you had your toes tucked for that whole time, give them a little wriggle. Maybe you give them a gentle tap on the floor. And then I like to, if your knees are healthy, I like to just pick my knees up and stretch out the tops of my feet here. That always feels so nice. Take another couple of breaths. Nice, then release that to the floor. And let's come into Malasana, a low squat. So again, if your knees don't like to be closed to capacity like this, then you could do this in a higher up squat. This is just going to get some energy into the legs, and then we're going to bring in another external rotator exercise for the back of the shoulder. So When we're working forwards, whatever it is we're doing, quite often the muscles on the back of the shoulder, they get weak and they get tight. We all feel that in the neck. It'll be quite sore and pinchy up all through the traps. And if we can start to bring some energy and some strength into the back of the shoulder, then we kind of give ourselves this muscular support for our work. I think this is so important to do for tattooists and alike. So turn the palms up, keep turning the thumbs down like you're presenting some little trays, and then squeeze the knees in on the elbows without moving the arms. Press the arms out and then turn the arms as if you're offering the trays to your neighbours, and you should start to feel that right in the pocket of little muscles on the back of the shoulder. Have a little gentle lift in the pelvic floor. My heels don't touch the floor here, yours might. If your heels touch the floor easily, then perhaps you bring your feet a little bit closer together. Stay with the breath, nice long free neck. And maybe you can take the opportunity here to just loosen up into the neck, just looking side to side. And then notice if you lost that attention in the hands, just for a couple more breaths, can you bring the energy back into the back of the shoulders? Take those palms as wide as you can. And then exhale the hands to the floor. Keeping the knees nice and bent, just toe heel the feet a little bit closer. Rest your belly on your thighs and let everything kind of cascade over the support of the legs. You can keep the fingertips on the floor. Grip the floor with the feet, the arches are lifted, and wrap muscle to bone to energize the legs. And then if you like, you can hold the elbows if that feels okay. If you have a sore lower back, it's probably going to feel better to you to support your hands on the floor. Always listening to what your body is telling you. And then especially if you're holding the elbows, you can really kind of let the weight of the skull and the shoulders go. And again, those exhales are such powerful work here. You can take a deep breath in and then out through the mouth. Let it go. And you might get some satisfying pops in the upper spine. Just some tension being released. You can sway side to side, just little movements. Or back to front. And just feel your torso like a pendulum. Take another couple of breaths here. And then release the fingertips to the floor. We're going to come into a lunge and just stepping your left leg back. Now you can have your hands up on blocks or stacks of books or what other props you might have around. You could be on fingertips, knuckles, or palms of hands. And then you can have the back knee down if you want, but I'm just going to work with my back knee up for a little bit more energy there. Squeeze your back leg bum and think of lifting the lower belly, especially on the back leg side, up and forwards. Lengthen forwards through the crown of the head, maybe even lift the chin and just gaze forwards without cranking the back of the neck. A little smile always helps. Take another breath here. And then exhale, bring your back knee to the floor. And you can shorten your lunge a little bit. Keeping the weight in your hands, so your hands are very active. Keep your front heel down. And just start to feel a nice stretch in the bottom part of that front leg. Again, keep that back leg bum side engaged. Really weigh through that front heel. And keep lifting up and forwards through the chest. So I can feel that in the lower, kind of deeper portion of the calf muscles there. Take another breath. And then exhale, release that. Push up off the back foot. Come back into that forward fold. You might feel a bit warmer now and you might want to just kind of wriggle out, straightening the legs a little bit one at a time. Let the head hang. And then we'll step the other leg back. So a nice long high lunge here. So you can be on fingertips, you can be on palms, you can be on blocks or knuckles. I'm just gonna, I nearly cut my finger off yesterday, so I'm just gonna rest that hand here. And then pull your shoulders back, pull your heart forwards, lengthen through the back heel, and remember back leg That side butt cheek is fully engaged, really fired. You always have that option to drop the back knee here if you want. Imagine someone is lengthening, pulling that one hair right in the center of the crown of your head, pulling you forwards as your heel actions back. Take another breath, and then drop the back knee to the floor. Shift the weight of the hips forwards, but keep that front heel pressing down to take that stretch into the back of the front leg. Keep weight in the hands here. This is just to help support the knee because we're going quite forwards here. And again, that back leg glute is engaged, and think of lifting the hip point on that side forwards, lengthening, if you could, the whole of that section of the front of the thigh. Take another breath. And then release that. And we'll just come back to all fours. Take an inhale, just through a cat-cow. If you want to circle or sway, you can do that. Nice. And then we're going to step the right foot forwards. We're going to come to a low lunge, and we're going to take this into a couple of shoulder stretches. So you can take a nice wide base if you like. Really base down through the front foot, the back shin, and the top of the back foot. And then I like to do this with my hands. It kind of gives my brain a little bit more of a cue. Take your hands to the skin on the front of your left hip and pull up. And see how that engages your back leg butt cheek. And then imagine you're trying to slide this thigh forwards as you press the back foot down. And then here we'll just take a little bit of a shoulder stretch. Keep the legs fully active as they are. Take the left arm and keep the shoulder head back. Pull the arm into the chest. So normally in this stretch, you'll see this happening, but think of pulling that outer shoulder back, and then the bones of the arm come in as if you're going to tuck them underneath the collarbones. Don't forget the legs. Press arm into arm, and feel that belly of the shoulder on that side getting a nice stretch. And then release the hands. Interlace the hands behind the back, and then take them as if they're coming into a little holster on your right side, and then we'll come into a stretch for the left side of the neck. So if you have a stiff or sore neck, move very slowly, be really mindful. Both shoulders drop, especially your left one, and then think about moving the right ear towards the right shoulder. And you probably got straight into a pretty decent stretch there. Keep the movement really slow. And maybe it will be valuable to you just to turn your chin down a little bit more. That's where I get really tight, just a little bit further back in the back and the neck muscles there. And then release your right hand. Use your right hand to just gently support your head back up. Bring the hands to the floor, and we'll swap sides. So nice wide base. Press everything that's touching the floor down. Pull the right front of the hip up, squeeze your right butt cheek, and then imagine you're trying to slide your right thigh forwards in space as you press the foot down. Nice and tall through the torso, and then let's take the right arm into that crossbody shoulder stretch. So you'll get this right in the belly of the deltoid. Pull the arm into the chest, and then resist as if you're trying to push that arm back out. Don't forget to stay strong in the legs. So we're getting shoulders, hip flexor, all at the same time. Doing some nice strong work on the quads. Remember to stay soft in the bits of your body that don't need to be working hard right now. So the face, the neck. And a little smile and a sigh often helps just to release any of that tension. And then we're going to take that little shoulder holster. So interlacing the hands, bring the hands into your left waist. Let the shoulders drop. Keep the legs nice and active. And then real slow, this time bring left ear towards left shoulder to get into the side of the neck on your right side. And you might be straight there at that sweet spot where you need the work, or maybe you need to just adjust and rotate Turn the chin down a little bit. Maybe for you it's turning the chin up. Maybe you want to pause and just work a little bit more into all of the little spaces of the neck. And this kind of stuff we can mindfully do sat in our chair. We can always do a glove change and have a quick stretch of the neck. I think it's such a good idea, although it's hard when we're like up to our eyeballs in a piece or a day sit, to take a break. But just 2 minutes, take a break and do some kind of stretching is going to get the blood moving and keep the tissues healthy. So slowly coming back up, support the head if it needs it. Bring the hands back to the floor. Step your right foot forwards again. Now you can stay with your back knee down for this one, or if you want to just be a little bit more energetic here, you can pick the back knee off the floor, supercharge that back leg, and we're going to come into a standing crescent lunge. And then we're going to interlace the hands behind the back and lift the chest. So stay strong in the feet, especially that front heel. Quite often we get light in the toes here, but press the heel down. And then again, imagine you're lifting the front of the left hip and thigh up, draw the navel in, contain the front ribs, and then lift from the ribs up to open the heart and stretch the shoulders. You're pulling the hands towards each other with bent or straight arms, whatever suits you, but then imagine you're trying to pull the arms apart from the tops of the arm bones, the upper arm bones. Take another breath in here. With an exhale, slowly release the hands. Bring your left hand to the floor. You can drop the back knee if you need to. You can take the right hand onto the right knee to turn and take this into a twist. You can stay here, or you could reach that top arm up. You could even take a little kind of half bind, bringing the back of the right hand to the left kidney. Your right hip is going to want to kind of bump out to the right, but draw it back in so everything's over this central line of your mat or the space you're working on. And you can look up, forwards or down, whatever the neck feels good about. Take another deep breath. And then exhale, release that side. Move slow, especially if you took the shoulder into a bigger stretch in that half bind, move it slow to come out. And then we'll come into the same thing on the other side. I'll do this side with the knee down just to show you. So keeping the back knee down or lifted, whichever way you're doing it, charge both of the legs. Press the front heel into the floor. Interlace the hands behind the back, but with the other thumb on top, it'll be like the one where it feels like you're holding someone else's hand. And then pull the heart up, but contain the front ribs, squeeze the right bum. Lift right frontal hip point. And then imagine you're trying to pull your arms apart from the top of the upper arm bone. Stay free in the neck, the breath, the mind. If you're up on your back toes and you're finding this challenging for your balance, then you find a gazing point and you fix your gaze and see if that helps to anchor you in space. One more smooth breath here. And then we'll come into that revolution. So taking the left hand on the left knee, right hand to the floor or a block. I'm just going to do that on this side because I don't want to take weight on that hand. If you have more space, you can by all means hook the elbow, but this is only a short sequence, so I didn't want to do anything too deep. And then reach the left arm up, and maybe you hook that left arm back. Just see what feels medicinal for you. We never want to move in a way that feels like it's going to be detrimental to our current state. We always want to leave our mat or our practice feeling better than we did when we got on it. Look up, forwards or down at the floor. Tone and turn the belly to the left. One more breath here. And then exhale, release it. And then come take a seat. So we're going to come into a seated twist. Twists are some of my favorite exercises for keeping the spine healthy. And they're really nice and rejuvenating after a long static day. So you can extend your left leg forwards or you can tuck the left heel in towards your right bum. You can have your right foot on the inside or the outside of your left knee, and then holding on to the right shin, pull the heart up as you pull the shoulders down. Keep this front foot pressing into the floor. And this might feel like enough for you if you have a tight hip. Maybe you stay here and you take a few breaths, or you begin to turn and hook that opposite elbow around the front knee and then turn towards the back. You can keep the hands together, or you can release your back hand to the floor, or again, you could take that half bind. If you're very bendy, some people have a lot more range than others. You could hook that elbow on the outside of the knee. But I find that this is a really nice, sufficient shape with the hook of the elbow, and we can work here with strength of pushing that knee into the arm. That strength lifts the spine up tall, and then we can turn. Maybe if the neck is feeling okay, we gaze all the way over the back shoulder and just down towards the back of our space. Don't forget this front foot, keep pressing it into the earth. Take another breath here and then slowly undo it, come back to center. Just take a little counter twist. These always feel delicious. And then we'll switch sides. So this time crossing your right leg under, bringing the heel towards your bum, and then you can have your left leg either on the inside or the outside of the right knee. You take a nice hold of the top of the shin, kind of wriggle the belly nice and tall, spine tall, lift through the base of the skull, and then begin to move into the twist by hooking the elbow. You can take the hands into a little grip or leave the left fingertips behind you. Again, find that base of the sit bones, the front foot, press it down to lift up, and then kind of like we're wringing the twist out. Feel the upper body expand as you move into the shape. So for me, this side is a lot more open than my right side twist. And that's due to the positions and the movements that I do as I'm tattooing, which over time can create imbalances, and I have managed over time to counter them a little bit, but you do what you can. It's better to be doing something than nothing at all. So for me, because this side feels a lot more open, it would be more beneficial to spend more time in my right side twist and just a little bit less time in this side, so I'm kind of doing the opposite work. You can gaze all the way back if the neck is okay with that. And then turn to face forwards, take that little derotation twist to the right. And turn to face front. We're going to just roll over the ankles and come to lie on the belly. And then press the tops of the feet into the floor. Bring the shoulders down, away from the ears and back to engage the muscles on the side of the back. So where we started the class in a restorative, very easy access back bend, we're going to just energize a little bit more with a active back bend here. So still not super deep, but just enough to wake up the muscles on the back side of the body. The neck can be nice and free here. You might just want to, again, like do a gentle side to side, or maybe chest to chin motion, but keep that heart nice and lifted and forwards, and the arms and the legs nice and active, pressing tops of feet down to fully engage the legs. Pelvic bones push into the floor. Really nice to have some padding here. I wouldn't recommend grinding your pelvic bones to dust on a hard floor for this one. We'll just stay for a couple more breaths. Stay active. And then on your next exhale, just take the elbows wide. I would recommend resting the forehead on the hands. And just get yourself into a nice, relaxed position. If you would rather lie the head to one side, then that's fine. I like to have my neck in line with my spine for this one, but just so that I can talk to you, I'm just going to put my chin on my hands. And so here, it's really nice to just soften the belly with a full inhale, pressing the belly into the floor like you're trying to push down into the earth. And then as you exhale, just to
let it all go and let the belly release. When we sit with the knees bent upwards and the shoulders slouching forwards or hunched forwards, we are kind of silently signaling to the body very subconsciously that we're in this stress position where we're needing to curl up and protect the soft organs of the belly like our deep animal selves would. And we've all seen a dog roll onto its back and expose its soft belly flesh to us, maybe for a tummy rub, but also because it trusts you and it feels safe. So here, just come into this kind of sensation of feeling really surrendered and safe and soft in the belly. So as you inhale, full expansion, again, like you're trying to press down into the earth. And then as you exhale, just let it all go. To deepen this practice over time, you can place a rolled up towel or blanket or yoga mat underneath the belly and the space between the hip points and the bottom ribs. This can feel quite challenging at first, but I love that practice. It's really good for your digestion. It's really good for getting lots of blood flow to those soft organs of the belly and for just taking this practice a little bit deeper. Knowing that we can be in a position where we feel perhaps not the most comfortable, but train our brains to not drop into a more fight or flight state and to be just a little bit more relaxed and know that we've got this and know that we're safe. So you can stay like this for a while and just see how you feel here. But for the sake of time, I'm going to leave now. When you're ready, roll onto one side and just take an extra couple of breaths. Just give yourself those extra couple of moments before you come up to a seated position, ready to either drop into a little bit of breath observation, just letting the breath breathe itself now and witnessing each breath as it happens. Dropping that conscious control and just settling back into the witness, the observer of each breath. And you can sit like that for as long as you can, for as long as you have time, or if you need to move on, you move on. So thank you for sharing this practice with me this evening. I look forward to sharing my next one with you, where we're going to be working into a bit more strength and power in the back body, some practices which I found so helpful to heal my chronic back pain over the years that I got from my work, and now I don't suffer with anymore because of this kind of practice. So I can't wait to share that one with you. Be out in the next kind of 5 days, something like that, when I have time to do the next one. But again, thank you for being with me in this space this evening, or whenever, wherever you are. It was an honour to share this with you, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you.